What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Gold Getaways Travel Podcast. My name is Josh, and each and every week I'm joined with my friend and co-host, Matt. How you doing, man?
What's going on, Josh? Greetings from a rainy, snowy Massachusetts.
I thought we were going to get some rain here today in Florida, and I think it passed over us.
Yeah. You look outside today, and it just started snowing in Massachusetts in April, which is not odd, but not what you wanted to see.
I mean, how long? What is that, like maybe May? You go into May and still have snow?
You could. You know what I mean? It's usually right now. Like, I look at the weird thing is, like, usually we have the Boston Marathon on this coming Monday. Luckily, it got postponed until the fall this year, but it would have been an interesting course. This
boy, I can't imagine.
Something you'd like to run.
Yeah. Yes. Well, welcome everybody to the podcast. If this is your first time joining us, you don't know who we are. Gold Getaways is a full-service travel planner. We are specialized in Disney vacations. We are an authorized Disney vacation planner, but by no means are we limited at Disney. If there is something else that you are looking to do, experience, we can definitely help you with that. We just took a trip down to Sandals, Grand Antigua, and it was fantastic. As you all may know, we're going to be talking a little bit more about cruising. Cruises have restarted, so we can help you with all of those things. So whether you have big kids, small kids, or no kids at all, we have got somebody who can help you plan your next Disney vacation or any other vacation that you want to go on. And of course, every single week, it's not just Matt and I. We always try to have somebody else on. And so we have got Justin. How you doing?
How you doing, guys? Great.
What's up?
Justin, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So, hi, my guys. My name is Justin. I'm from North Carolina. I'm a travel planner with Gold Getaways. I typically deal with travelers who are looking to work around their health or their medical conditions that they're working on, primarily kidney care, heart failure, or even diabetes is another one. So, typically that's what I work with. There are a lot of patients that are interested in travel or have questions about their travel needs.
Cool. Yeah, and I think that's and that's really going to be the topic of tonight's episode. When we were asking some of the agents to come on and coming up with some ideas, and this was Justin's idea. I think it's a pretty good idea. I don't think this is probably talked about as much as what it probably could be. I know that I'm sure that there's probably a lot of, people that are really unsure about traveling, not including the current situation, just as a whole, when you have some of these medical conditions. So, Justin, we're super excited. Thank you for being on tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to move on and to talk about our sponsorship this week. Each and every week, this podcast is sponsored by Learn to Cook with Adam online. And I always forget, so I'm going to try and play it this week, which is a little video clip of Adam cooking. It's all done through Zoom. He's a celebrity chef featured on the Food Network's Chopped and Restaurant Express with Robert Irvine. And it's super easy. If you're if you're looking to do something a little bit different, learn how to cook, you can head on over to the chefthedigitator.com, or you can send an email to adamgoldgel@gmail.com. Ton of different recipes, all different types of cuisine. Something that we have been doing right now, which I know Matt's going to want me to throw up because I didn't take it down yet, has been our theme park copycat series. Last week we did the Hallelujah biscuit from Chef Art Smith's, amazing. And this week we are doing the bread service from Sanaa, and I'm super excited. It is going to be so good.
Yeah, that is amazing.
A big one.
Yes, but let me show you guys this clip real quick. Oh, there it goes. Yes, that was from our Ronto Wrap copycat episode, and
after seeing you do that, I almost dropped by, and that was how funny it was.
Yeah. I mean, I was just trying to hold it out to the camera so everybody could see it, and it slipped right off the plate. So,
and that went right onto the computer, and the computer survived, right?
Yeah, it did. It dropped right onto the computer. Luckily, the computer was fine. I may have just had maybe one too many Jedi mind tricks that night, so who knows?
Hey, it's a Saturday night. It's okay.
That's true. That is true. So if you guys are interested in joining our theme park copycat cooking series, the next one is tomorrow night. You can still sign up. The ingredients, I'm going to be honest, you might have a little hard time finding them. I did have to order a few things on Amazon, but this is going to be a fantastic class. I highly suggest you guys check it out. And again, if you're interested, you can send an email to adamgoldgill@gmail.com.
They're always fun.
Yeah, they are. They are. Normally, I think I feel like I am always running around like a chicken with its head cut off. Even though I prep everything, I have everything prepped, but I've got everybody, like I have an audience, not just, cooking with you guys, but like we actually usually have friends over and I'm cooking for them too. And they're like talking in the background, they're laughing, they're having a good time. And
a lot of pressure on you.
Who knows? Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Matt, why don't we talk about our first, what we are now calling a group cruise?
Yeah. So the first group cruise is now it's been retitled a little bit after last week. Barbados with the boys. ... and Taylor. We're going to be leaving December 12th. 7-night Southern Caribbean island hop out of Barbados. Stops in Trinidad, Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent's, Dominica, and St. Lucia. Want to come along? Josh is going to put the email address events@gogelgetaways.com. And in the subject, we're going to just keep it simple. Barbados with the boys. Great pricing right now on this trip.
Yeah.
And Josh and I were talking about it this week. Right now, we are up to about 12 people joining us on this ship. It's going to be a great time. A lot of different style excursions, which is going to be fun. That's how, Josh, I was able to get my aunt on it. She's going to be joining us on the cruise. And once she heard Laurie talk last week about the spices.
Oh, yeah.
I had a text message and said, hey, book me a room.
Yeah, this cruise has no sea days at all. So this is all ports. And I think actually departure on the first day there. It's late. It's like 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. So I think we're all, not everybody, but at least Matt and I and our group is planning to maybe come in the day before, and we'll be able to explore a little bit of Barbados before we get on the ship. But this is a fantastic opportunity for you to get out and explore a little bit more. So I can't wait. I'm super excited. It's going to be fantastic. And yeah.
And I used the hashtag Laura used last week, revenge vacation.
There you go.
Hashtag revenge vacation. We all need it. Yes. Then we got a couple blocked rooms for a couple of the school vacations coming up in next February and April. They're going to be the same ship. One of them is going to be leaving on February 19th, 2022. Out of Miami on the Symphony of the Seas, and then April 16th. Just a reminder, those are not group cruises. They're just a block of rooms with a great rate we have going right now. So anybody looking to get away on a school vacation with some kids, it's going to be stopping at Perfect Day Coco Cay, Antigua, and St. Thomas. Same thing, events, gogelgetaways.com. You can just put April cruise, February cruise, and we'll have an agent contact you. And then, Josh, I'm going to bounce the ball over to you on this one because this is the cruise you are waiting for.
Yeah. So if you haven't heard, we are going to Alaska. We were supposed to go this summer. We've obviously pushed that back. So we are doing a 7-night Alaskan cruise out of Seattle. It is setting sail July 15th, 2022. And right now, they've got an awesome special going on right now where if you book, you can get $150 of onboard credit for you to use. So same thing, if you want to come along, tag along, send an email to events@gogelgetaways.com. You can put in the subject line, Alaska Group Cruise 2022. It is going to be fantastic. I mean, this is a destination that is once in a lifetime for a lot of people. And, Taylor and I normally, we're Disney fans, but we're going back out on Royal Caribbean, and we're still going to have a fantastic time. We're going to see some amazing sights. do some really cool excursions. So we're excited. Hopefully you guys will come and enjoy it because it's, like I said, it's just, it is, what do they call it? The last frontier, right?
Yes.
It's not the final frontier. It's final frontier space. So, right. The last frontier. So yeah,
it's a bucket list item for a lot of people, Josh, and it's gonna be a great cruise, a lot of different style excursions, and I can't wait.
Yeah, and we were talking about this last week with Laurie on, and I think she got me really excited to do. It is a little bit more on the expensive side, but hey, you got to splurge a little bit sometimes to do the dog sledding. You know,
yep.
So I think that's what we're going to try and do. I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, like I'm excited to. I know it's very weird. It's like I'm excited to try the wild salmon. I'm a foodie. Yeah. I'm a seafood guy, obviously from being from New England. And obviously my aunt's actually traveling on this ship as well. She's really interested in the gold mining and the gold panning and stuff up there. So we got our eye on some excursions up there that are kind of like almost 3 built into one that we're excited about.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many different things that you could do on this itinerary, going to Alaska. You know, and of course, that's not what the episode for tonight is all about, but you know, it'll be great. So if you guys want to come, hang out, have fun. I guess I should play the video that I always play every week.
Do it.
So this was just a quick video clip from our last group cruise. You can check it out on YouTube to see some of what it was all about. And this was the first night. This was the night after we had just met a bunch of people. This is Silent Disco.
And then they see this.
Dave became a legend.
And then they go, wow, I have to be stuck with this for the next 6 nights.
Yes. That oh, I don't want to play it again.
Why not?
Not a legend. And more than likely that was the thought. I got to be stuck with this guy for the next 6 nights. Yeah, absolutely. Oh boy. Awesome. So we have anything else to add?
Not on the group cruise rate. We're good.
Okay, cool. So let's move on to this week's news. So obviously we skipped a lot of the news last week just because we were going to have a very in-depth, longer episode talking with Lori from Royal Caribbean and talking about them getting back to setting sail. So, Matt, you want to take it away?
Yeah,
get started on that?
I'll start off. Obviously, it's the same thing that we talk about every week. Packages are now available to the end of June 2022. Josh, I'm actually gonna question that a little bit right now.
Okay.
I was able to book a package yesterday for July 2022.
Oh, okay. All right.
So packages are extended a little bit further. Just make sure you touch base with your travel agent to make sure that that's actually true. Maybe I just got lucky. The big one coming out was it last week, early this week? Mears Connect is going to be the transportation system from MCO, which is Orlando International Airport, to the Disney resorts.
Yep.
From my understanding, it's going to be very similar to the Magical Express. Obviously, probably not as fancy of buses. And I did see that for a price they might do the luggage service. There's a lot of questions. Yeah, which I mean that's what a lot of people want. The luggage service portion of it is kind of just easier on people.
Yeah.
But I mean it's just I think that's the selling point on a lot of people on the Mears Connect, and a lot of information still coming out on that, and that's going to be starting January 1st, 2022.
Yeah. So there's not a lot out there, and like you just said, Matt, that's what I was going to add was that we'll see a lot more of this information come out starting next month, because that is when you can officially start making these reservations for this Mears Connect. So if you don't actually know, all of Magical Express is actually operated by Mears. So there's really nothing that's probably changing other than the fact that this is probably not going to be included right with your Disney vacation. Disney may do something with Mears where when you go to book a package, you can add that in automatically. But not a lot is really going to change, other than the fact that you're just not going to have the same theming and the fun little video on your way into the parks or to your resort.
But we don't know that yet.
Well, that's true. We don't know that yet. They could still do that. Absolutely, 100%.
You can also watch it just on your cell phone, and it's kind of like
that too. You could just pull it up on YouTube and watch it there. So
that's a big one for a lot of people.
It is, and it's something that is so simple. But I think a lot of people who are like maybe aren't all that upset about it right now. They might feel a little bit, not so much upset, but when that time comes next year, they might be a little bit disappointed because it's so convenient. Don't have to worry about your bags. You just go down, check in, and jump on the bus. So, but
there's a little adjustment we got to make.
Right, and you got to remember, it's like the Magical Express hasn't been around forever. It hasn't been that long. It's 10 years, maybe a little bit less.
It's something like that. No, it's more than 10 years, I'm pretty sure, because we took it back in 2009. So it's just over 10 years.
So let's say 2005. How did people get to Disney?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, taxi, of course.
You taxi,
probably, or rental car.
You figure it out. Now everybody's just accustomed to the Magical Express and just kind of losing sight of that. So Mears Connect's going to be awesome. Eventually the train's going to be awesome. I'm a Uber guy myself, so
and I know that this isn't really part of the news, but we just flew back from Sandals a couple weeks ago, and when we got into MCO and we were leaving, it's amazing how I'm pretty sure that station's like basically done for the train station. So that's the bright light station's coming from Miami to MCO, I think, and then it's also going to go from right there from MCO down to
Disney Springs.
So
Disney Springs,
so it's basically like almost done, which is crazy. But it'll be a cool new opportunity to take something a little bit different. So I'm excited. I won't really be able to take it, but
just a random day you can go to Disney Springs and just take the train to the airport just because.
Maybe if it doesn't cost an arm and a leg.
yeah.
So,
Josh,
sorry. I'm just saying is the transportation. Everybody has to realize there are options out there. That's all it is. Just utilize your options.
So let me just this right here. I just popped this comment up. Magical Express is going away? ? Yes, that's already been announced. It is ending this year, December 31st, right, of 2021. So. Starting January 1st, there will be no more Magical Express, but there will be this Mears Connect option, which we'll get more details next month. So, what were you going to say there, Matt?
Oh, since you've been in the parks, do you want to talk about the new the mask policy?
Yes, sure, absolutely. So this is huge. This is really big news for Disney right now. Our messages were blowing up basically the day that they made the announcement. Which is that now you are allowed to remove your mask when you are in the parks to take a photo as long as you are stationary and as long as you are physically distant from other people. I don't know how much that they are really kind of like checking that to make sure that you're socially or physically distanced from other people. But I do know that anytime that you go to take a photo with a PhotoPass photographer, that area will be physically distanced, socially distanced away from everybody else. So you don't really have to worry about that. If you are still a little unsure, I think that you could probably feel pretty safe being with a PhotoPass photographer. The parks are still getting really busy, but this is really great. I think that this is, I don't want to say it's like a step in the right direction because I don't want to say there is a right direction they should be going, but I know it's a big change that a lot of people are really going to enjoy and like. So I'm down for it,
Right.
So
if I'm not mistaken, they're bringing Memory Maker back with that as well, aren't they? I thought I saw that.
Memory Maker, I believe, is still around, or at least I was going through working on some stuff the other day, and I saw Memory Maker still on there for you to book. So
Okay.
Yes,
it may not be available
I just booked
right
one
now, but yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, and Josh, I saw yesterday they're starting to take out those portable hand washing stations out of the parks as well.
I think they were actually doing that a long time ago. Almost
just noticing it now.
Yeah, I think it was around the time actually when Flower and Garden got started, because Epcot seemed to just be almost non-existent of almost any of those. That and sanitization spots, with just the hand sand.
Right.
So I think that they've been slowly kind of moving away from that. But again, I keep saying the masks are going to be in place for a long time, guys. So get ready for the long haul. But I think we're going to start to see physical distancing going away here probably soon. Maybe around I don't want to say around October 1st, but there's just no way that they can continue to increase capacity and have more people come in and not have anywhere to put these people. So they are just spilling out into the walkways, and there's no way to avoid these large crowds. So I would say that we're probably going to see it go away here at some point. But masks will be in place at least the end of the year, if not into the next year or so. But we don't really have much Disney Cruise Line news. Disney is trying to, I think they were doing like a little video tour for some agencies. It was just like a virtual tour. Nothing that's really been released to the public yet for their new Disney cruise ship, the Wish, right?
The Wish, yeah.
But nothing.
Captained by Minnie.
Yes, Captained by Minnie. But not a lot of new news. They are sailing in the Mediterranean, I believe. Is that right? Over in Europe this summer?
I think so.
And
that's what I read.
Yeah, and I don't think that they've actually announced anything from the Bahamas yet. So
no.
I say that because Royal Caribbean, I think Carnival, Norwegian maybe, those have all announced that they will be sailing starting this summer from some island in the Bahamas or in the Caribbean, and avoiding the United States ports just because of the restrictions right now with the CDC.
Right.
So. But
I think with cruises, Josh, we're going to see a lot more information, because you're almost getting into the summer months eventually in the next couple of weeks with a lot of bookings. So I think a lot of information on if the U.S. ports are going to open. Is Carnival going to go out of anywhere? Is Celebrity going to go out of anywhere?
Yeah.
Because honestly, there's only so many international ports to go around.
Right. Yeah, so, absolutely.
You got to take that into consideration a little bit.
Yes. And then I guess we also have, they did announce the Disney Magic is going to suspend till October 2021.
Yeah, so, October 8th, exactly.
Okay, yeah. So that is a little bit of a new update, but not really much else has really changed yet. We're still waiting on details. If you guys were here last week for our Royal Caribbean episode, Lori was basically on and saying that I think it's like 30 days prior to those initial sailings, they're basically going to just start pushing out everything that's going to be required for you to be on that ship. So again, we're not really probably going to see anything until, what is it, May, June? So
yeah,
but cool. So let's move on to back to the theme parks, right?
Yep.
And over at Universal, we have got this, which was just announced. What do you guys think about that?
I cannot wait. I'm a coaster junkie, and yeah, this one has me excited.
It looks super intense. We're going to be, I know the next official time that we're going to be back over Universal is going to be next month in May. We're going to do a couple days over there and stay at one of the resorts. So just watching the progress on this coaster come along has been absolutely incredible. And of course, right there it is. It's opening on June 10th. So just a few just over a month away.
Right.
As of right now. So really exciting.
I haven't been this excited for a coaster in Orlando in a long time.
Well, Justin, I mean, so we're talking about coasters real quick, and not to get off topic here, but have you ridden Hagrid's yet?
I have not. Have not been back to Universal since then, but that's another one that's on my list.
All right. I'm sure that this one will probably be more thrilling and better than Hagrid's, but that is just a phenomenal roller coaster here in Orlando. That's oh my gosh! If I could ride it as many times as I could, I would. But those lines get super long, so
without a doubt.
Yeah, you gotta let everybody else on too, Josh. You can't.
No.
You can't
I just want to ride it for myself.
Can't be selfish.
You know what?
Sharing is
caring.
Oh,
sharing. Yeah, it's funny because Taylor and I, we get really excited to get to Universal first thing when it opens, and we rope drop right to Hagrid's and we get in line, and we're so excited because we gotten in line, and then just as we start approaching, there's this thing that we do where we just keep getting in front of one another, like as we approach because we want to ride on the bike and we don't want to sit in the sidecar. So the first person who goes to get in gets to ride on the bike, and the second person has to ride the sidecar. So try to rotate it 50-50, but
I think the deal will be, Josh, for Halloween Horror Nights, we'll try to go early. I'll try to go on that, get my heart rate really up and out of control, and then we'll go into the houses.
That's fine. You have to get a park-to-park pass, though, because that's on the other side.
Do I look concerned right now?
All righty.
I see no problems.
I'm down for it. Oh, and I do want to address this too real quick. Sharon just said, what about Iron Gwazi over at Busch Gardens? I don't think that there's been any real official update. We were just actually over at Aquatica for a media event, and they were not giving us any details. We were pressing them hard because if you don't know, Aquatica, which is part of SeaWorld, which is owned by the same company of Busch Gardens, blah, blah, blah. They were not giving us details about it. So I think they're speculating summer, but we don't know. And that is a hybrid coaster. So it's wooden and steel. And it looks kind of scary, but very thrilling and exciting. So cool. And then what do we got? Our last piece of news?
Yeah, the Avengers campus is going to be opening at Disneyland on June 4th, which is going to be great because it's going to coincide with Disneyland opening. So it's going to be great for all the California residents to get a firsthand look at that before everybody else.
And this looks stunning. I mean, this
crazy.
Looks so amazing. I cannot wait to hopefully be able to get over there at some point, get to check it out. But boy, oh boy. I mean, the level of detail that they put into this is just crazy.
Yeah, I'm a big comic book fan and can't wait to get there for this one.
Yeah, and I wonder how many like little nods to the actual comics that they may put in there, if they put any Easter eggs in there at all. I would imagine that they would because, I mean, it's Disney and that's what Disney does a lot of the time. But it looks absolutely fantastic. So I can't wait.
Maybe instead of hidden Mickeys, we can get some hidden Stan Lees.
Hidden Stan Lees? Oh, if they didn't think of that, like that's actually a really good idea. What a great way to honor Stan Lee and some of the amazing stuff that he and a bunch of others have created. So,
Josh, maybe Disneyland right after the Alaska cruise. We just go right from Seattle down right to Anaheim.
That could be a possibility. That's been
going through my mind for the last couple of weeks now of trying to make.
That could happen.
You mean we get off that ship on Friday morning, get on a plane right down into Anaheim, Orange County, and then leave on Monday. I mean, just a couple extra days of fun and excitement.
That's true. We're going to be having at this point, we're definitely going to have a 2-week long trip at this point. Doing all the stuff beforehand in Seattle, coming back, and then going right down to Disneyland. But hey, that's fine. Maybe if we can get in over there. So, all right. So this week, this topic, we're gonna hand everything over to Justin. We're gonna let him take it away, and it's very, very, I think, really important for so many people. This information, I don't think is put out there as often as it probably should be for people. So. Justin, take it away, man.
Right. So hi guys. Yes. As I said before, I'm a kidney failure, heart failure patient, and I no longer do dialysis. I did dialysis for 6 years. I had a transplant in 2019, but I'm still part of many support groups when it comes to just younger patients who are going through kidney failure, starting dialysis. I even talked to some older patients, and recently, since I became a travel agent, I answer a lot of questions in regards to traveling while on dialysis and also traveling post transplant. So these are questions that I've that hoping to answer for some that don't even know like where to start with vacation planning. And there's a lot of stuff that I've gathered over the years from my doctors, my kidney care team, and other friends and support group members that they've shared their experiences with me as well. So I'm hoping to be able to cover quite a bit and answer those questions for you guys. I want to lead off with just this is very important. We are not doctors here. We are not your care team. We're
Justin,
not medical professionals.
I appreciate you saying that because I didn't even think about that, and that's very good point. So continue. Thank you.
So take everything here as tips, advice, or questions that you can ask your doctor, your care team, and not just in regards to dialysis or kidney care, any medical conditions you have. These are questions that maybe spark, something in your mind, or if you have a family member that wants to go on vacation but doesn't think they can. These are questions to write down and ask your doctors about your case. Because we can get caught up in just saying, hey, this is what I did, and it's going to work. It's not what I did may not work for you. What Steve did on his cruise will not be working out the same way for you. So talk to your doctor and your care team about your needs and what you need to watch out for. Okay.
Yeah. So, and something else I just want to add too is that, and of course we'll get into this later in the podcast, but we're not just talking about necessarily just coming to Disney World. As Justin mentioned, this is also something that if you feel like trying to do a cruise, these are some things that you can actually still have taken care of while you're on a cruise ship too. So
absolutely. So the big thing I lead off with, aside from us not being doctors, is this is something you have to plan early and be flexible with. Okay. Unfortunately, you can't really, if you do dialysis, especially in center dialysis, when you have to go to a clinic, or if you do it in a hospital, this is not something that you can just go out of town and walk right into a dialysis center. You have to give it for your care team, your social worker at your center, and schedule these things out. They had to be able to call and coordinate with the center at your destination. And when I say be flexible, I mean it. Sometimes it might not be an option where you're looking to go, or it might not be available where you want to go. Sometimes you want to go to a destination, your social worker will call, and the closest dialysis centers can't accept new patients, at least for that time being. So have your options laid out where you want to go and where you're looking at, but just know that sometimes it's just not going to work out for you. Don't let it discourage you from trying to schedule a trip somewhere. I ran into that problem myself when I was doing in-center dialysis. I wanted to go to California to visit a friend, and he lives in San Diego. Unfortunately, and I wasn't going to rent a car while I was out there. And unfortunately, all the dialysis centers in that area just they didn't have the time and schedule to shoehorn somebody in for a couple of days. So unfortunately, I had to back off of that trip and come up with another plan. And then a year later, I was able to go. It worked out just fine, just because the availability was there.
And Justin, how I mean, if you could give people a time, obviously, I mean, like as early as possible, but is that something that Is it like 6 months, a year, year and a half?
I personally, I like to schedule. I like to have an idea no less than 3 months out.
Okay.
But your social worker will tell you when it comes to them being able to communicate with everybody, 8 weeks. 8 weeks gives you enough time to search around. But if you want to be certain, at least have something on paper, like, okay, this is what we want to do. And when you're doing your clinic visits, or if you're like me, who is a home patient, and you go in for your monthly visits, say, hey, look, we're looking at going. It's February. We're looking at going to Orlando in May. Can you call around and see if there's a location there that can accept us or accept me for a day or two, depending on how long you're going for.
Gotcha. Okay.
And as always, like I say, consult your dialysis care team, your kidney care team, your nephrologist, and make sure that you can get taken care of there if you're in center. If you're like me, I'm the last half of my dialysis tour when I was the last 3 or 4 years of that, when I'm doing home dialysis. Your options are more open because you can do them in your hotel room.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and I thought I had some pictures of that when I did it at Disney when my wife was running and run Disney, but I was going to cover that later on, but I was going to talk about now. Getting your supplies at the hotel. Your dialysis team can order that stuff for you and have it shipped directly to your hotel. And they did this at Universal as well. The concierge took all of my supplies to my room for me. And when I got there to check in, it was already there. And anybody who does home dialysis will know that is a lot. There are a lot of boxes of materials that come along with that, with needles, bags of saline, bags of dialysate. I mean, when my wife ran Disney, I had 36 boxes of dialysate sitting in my room. So, but Disney was great. The concierge I got to give a shout out to the concierge service at Caribbean Beach Resort. They took it all. They took it in, and whenever I had to throw some stuff out, they took care of it for me.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So yeah, they specifically tell you you're going to have medical waste. Call us. We can properly dispose of that, because the last thing you want to do is have even a needle box just sitting outside your room,
oh, right.
For pickup. So you always call the front desk and say, hey, I got medical supplies. They'll send either concierge over, or they'll send custodial staff over for you, or housekeeping. I'm sorry, mousekeeping.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and like I said, just understand, your needs, and that's another thing you got to cover. You got to cover with your doctor and your team is how often you got to do dialysis treatments. When I was doing in center, I had to do treatments every 2 to 3 days, depending on my situation. And there are different types of dialysis. There's peritoneal, which is another personal therapy that you can do. I'm not familiar with how that works. My mom did it, but it's very flexible for a lot of people. There's hemodialysis, which is just being hooked into the machine, and your needles and everything go into your arm, and then you draw your blood and clean your blood out there. They do that in center, but I also did it at home. And when I did it in center, like I said, 2 to 3 days I had to go. When I did it from home and I went on vacation, I was able to space out I was able to plan a little bit differently. And your times vary for that as well. So you could be in center for 4 hours, and you got as a part of scheduling. On vacation, obviously you want to go as early as possible. So ask your nurse or your social worker to see about getting you one of the 6 a.m. times, so you can get out of there between 9:30, 10 o'clock to enjoy your full day. There's also something called nocturnal dialysis. That's where you can go overnight and do it. And some centers just don't offer that, but that's for your social worker to find out for you if they do offer that. It's a prolonged treatment. It's overnight, and it's for 8 hours. But I promise you, I did this a few times. You feel much better than a regular treatment because it's not as harsh on your body as a 4-hour treatment. It's prolonged. You get to sleep, and you have so much more energy the day after to enjoy the day fully. So for anybody in center, that's something I would inquire about. And those times are a little bit harder to get, I'm not going to lie, but they are available. Just kind of have your social worker find it for you.
And Justin, and I mean, because we're talking a little bit about this, and you're talking about doing this in center stuff, and you said that you've experienced it. So, I mean, is it safe to assume then, like, this is something that if people are looking to come to Disney World, maybe they're looking to come to Universal, that is something that these in-center treatments they can find pretty close to the theme parks if they're going to come down to Disney World, right? I mean,
yes. There are dialysis centers, like when it comes to Disney World or Universal, SeaWorld, even Tampa. I know around those areas there's a lot of dialysis centers, whether it be Fresenius Dialysis Center, DaVita, which I was a part of that group. There's a DaVita Dialysis Center in Celebration. So if you're going to Disney, that one's perfect for you. And if you're staying anywhere around Disney, it's right there. And Universal, there's a DaVita that's on Kirkman Road. I can't remember where it crosses, but there's one on Kirkman Road, which is right up the road is near Conway.
Oh, Conroy. So that's up basically on the other side of Universal, I think.
Correct.
A little bit further north of Universal.
It's near Metro West.
Okay, yeah.
The Metro, the entrance to Metro West is right there. But I remember when I lived there, and I drove from Universal to that Kirkman Road location. It was maybe a 10-minute drive tops with traffic. Okay. So, but that's for your social worker to kind of pull up a map and tell them where you're staying, and they can find that for you. They can also schedule transportation for you if you do not rent a car or have your vehicle. That's something that your social worker can find for you. And sometimes it's available, sometimes it's not. But again, an Uber ride from Disney to the Celebration Center won't run you much at all.
Yeah.
And
we're talking about that, Justin. Of course, I don't know anything about any of this. So if people are looking to, start booking a vacation to come down here, is this a whole nother thing they have to factor into the cost of their overall vacation then as well? And that's something that they work out with, like, the social worker where they're at home?
Yeah, you'll work that out with your social worker at home. Usually, like most dialysis patients I know are covered under Medicare or their insurance. It'll be billed no differently than your own being in your own center. But that to get details of that, I can't answer that for you. But
right.
those are the questions that you ask your social worker. How much it's going to cost? I will say that does apply in the United States only, because Medicare is a U.S. government.
Right.
So if you're going, and I see a question about cruise ships, I'm going to get to that. If you're going to Europe, or if you're going to Japan, or wherever you might be traveling to, your Medicare coverage will not cover your treatments out there. On a cruise ship, yes, it will cover you. Like, if you want, I'll talk about dialysis at sea here in a second. But that's sort of things you got to work out with your social worker, and they'll be able to make those calls and get you in contact with the proper people to schedule that out. And like I said, I see the question here about dialysis or about cruise ships on the Disney cruise. From my research, I have not seen Disney Cruise Line offer dialysis at sea. If you go to dialysisatsea.com right now.
Justin, just before we start diving into the cruise line stuff, just because we're talking about kind of being at the parks for the moment, somebody just asked this question, and I thought it'd be good to address, which is there anything different that you should be doing or that you need to do while you're in the parks? So this doesn't necessarily need to be in the parks. This could be, like if you're, like you had said, going out to San Diego, what is there? What's different that you should be doing from your experience that people might not know about?
When you're at the parks or on vacation, it's very important to manage your fluid intake. And again, depending on your situation, your fluid limitations are different. Mine was 32 ounces of fluid intake per day. So I couldn't drink a lot of water. I couldn't have the big bottles of water. I couldn't, hang out the water fountain and just kind of work around that.
Okay.
But one of the tips I have for that is ice cubes. You can ask for ice cubes. A cup of ice at the parks. You can bring it if you get a stainless steel tumbler. You get like a 24-ounce tumbler, bring it in, put some ice in there. It'll last you throughout the day. It'll melt. It'll still be 24 ounces or be less than 24 ounces. Manage your fluid intake. That's the key, especially during the summertime. It's hard during the summertime because of how hot it is. I typically try to go, when I was on dialysis, I typically tried to go during the cooler times of the year, just because summer can be brutal. But if I did go into summertime, ice cubes, frozen fruit, like frozen grapes, stuff like that, something that will give you that will quench that little bit of thirst in your mouth and keep your mouth from being dry, but doesn't allow you to just chug a bunch of water. Because the more water you drink, your body can't get rid of that fluid. You're going to feel weighed down. You're going to feel heavy. It's going to drag you down, and you're going to feel miserable. And then that's going to make the treatment a little bit rougher because you got to pull extra fluid off. And then when it comes to your dietary restrictions, one thing I learned that I wish I knew before I went the first time: ask the wait staff at restaurants. This won't work in quick service as much because those meals are kind of ready to go. But if you go to a restaurant, this doesn't apply just at Disney. It applies at any restaurant you go to. Ask the wait staff about low sodium meals, or ask them if they can talk to the chef about a lower phosphorus meal. Know your foods. When I was at Disney a few years ago, I asked. I think I was at Trattoria al Forno, and there was a dish that was loaded with potatoes and spinach, high phosphorus foods. I asked if there's any more alternatives. The chef told me what the alternatives were. He put some different vegetables on the plate. We went no potatoes, but he gave me some noodles instead, something to give that carb intake, but not the phosphorus. Same thing with salt. Don't be afraid to ask for low sodium. And even if you want something on the meal, you can always ask. Don't use either have them just not put any salt on it and bring you salt, or lower the salt. And one thing that was really cool that happened to me was my wife and I went to Chef Art Smith homecoming, and we actually met Art Smith that day. He was out front, kind of greeting. He was walking around, kind of greeting people, and he asked, how we were doing. And I told him, yeah, I'm here, and wanted to get the biscuits and gravy that they had at the time, but I know that the gravy was loaded in salt. he actually told me not to worry about it, and they made a lower salt version of that gravy, just for that. And he said, anytime you hear, just tell your server, and they'll put the request in for you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and just as a thing for everybody that's listening, I mean, Disney World's in general is probably one of the best places for doing food substitutions for just about anybody. Mm-hmm. So they will certainly do everything that they possibly can to try and take care of you, to make sure that that you can eat something at a restaurant, even if it, if on the menu at first it doesn't look like there's anything there. Which I know this is totally opposite, but Taylor's cousin has a tree nut allergy. There were plenty of times where they sometimes would make him his own dish completely. So, don't be afraid to ask, like Justin said, because you definitely should. They will take very good care of you.
Yeah, you don't want to miss out on something great just because you're worried about how much it contains.
Right.
I remember I asked that on the third day of my trip, and I was there for 7 days, and I missed out on some good alternatives that I could have had to some menu items that I was just like, well, I can't order that because it has spinach in it, so
yeah.
So yeah, just don't be afraid, like Josh said, like I said, don't be afraid to ask, and that really does work at any restaurant you go to. That's not just for vacationing, that's just in general, but especially on vacation.
Yeah, Justin, so Sharon asks, do you have a guide with these suggestions, ice, frozen grapes, low sodium, etc.?
I do. I will be glad to email it to anybody. I have one that I keep on hand on my laptop when I'm out talking to people. Or if you have any questions about like those ideas, just shoot me an email. You see my email on screen there, and I'll be glad to forward that over to you guys. There's so many tips out there, and if you are a patient, or if you have a family member that's a patient, they can get that from their dialysis care team. Has that on hand, like ready to go. And once again, when it comes to your situation, ask about what your restrictions are and know ahead of time.
Yeah, so we were starting to break down into the dialysis at sea. So you wanna start going down that road and talking a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So dialysis at sea is an option, and I saw a comment on about the about Medicare coverage. When I called them a couple weeks ago, when I was coming up with this, the coordinator mentioned Medicare payments for that. I would have to verify that with the director for that. So I may be fully incorrect. It was just a quick conversation I had with one of the coordinators there. She told me that Medicare is covered under that, but it could vary. I don't know for sure. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, I didn't get a comprehensive breakdown there. But dialysis at sea, someone asked about Disney cruises, and I have not seen Disney Cruise Line offer it. The only cruise lines that are listed under dialysisatsea.com are Royal Caribbean and Celebrity Cruises. And the Royal Caribbean ships are the Adventure, the Allure, the Freedom, the Liberty, the Ovation, and the Symphony. And Celebrity Cruises is going to be the Apex, the Edge, the Equinox, Reflection, Silhouette, and Solstice. If you see on screen there, if you visit dialysisatsea.com, go to cruise search, you'll see what ships are available, and understand that these are selected dates. These are selective dates. They're not as open as selecting a regular cruise. So you may go on Royal Caribbean, or your agent might go on RoyalCaribbean.com to look at the dates. And there's a lot of cruises available, but you'll look on the list and you'll only see one or two itineraries out of the month.
Actually, just I'm just going to throw this out there. July 15, 2022, on Ovation of the Seas, it is offered. It looks like they do have a price on there, but
yeah, exactly. And so once again, when it comes to that, just coordinate with your travel planner and coordinate with your dialysis care team about getting all the stuff you need to plan for that. And that's a big one. I've never personally been on a cruise because I was afraid, about being able to go on one. And then towards the end of I never even thought to ask about it. And towards the end of my time being on dialysis, I asked about going on a cruise. Can I take my machinery with me? And my social worker said, why don't you do dialysis at sea? And my eyes flew wide open because I was like, what?
Yeah.
And in our support groups, a lot of people don't know you can do a cruise and do dialysis. So it's a very cool thing. They have, it's done in the ship hospital. They have 4 dialysis beds that are set, for reservations. You do have to coordinate those. You got to schedule those times because you may be the only one on the cruise needing dialysis. You may be one of many. So this is one of those times where plan it out, get the time you want, and go from there. They have 2 registered nurses and a nephrologist on hand for that. And the cool thing about dialysis at sea is they will take your dietary restrictions. Oops.
That was me.
No problem. They will take your dietary needs from your nephrologist, your doctor, your care team send over to you to send to them, or just send them, and they will coordinate that with the ship dining staff. So all your meals, like all your sit down meals, are the menus catered towards your dietary needs. It doesn't count for the buffets, obviously, but for your restaurant services, they'll be ready for you. And there's also 24-hour communication available with the dialysis staff. If you have any concerns, if you're feeling ill, you're able to communicate with them and say, hey, I feel like I might need an extra treatment. Can you guys get me in? And if it's available, they'll get you in. Right. That was one of the coolest things. I thought, if it's scheduled for this is how it is. But I talked to her. I said, what if I have a traveler who needs one extra treatment or a half treatment? She said we can work on that. So,
I'm still here.
Yeah, no problem. But so understand, just your options are open. They're open, but they're limited in a way. But understand that this is available for you, and you don't have to miss out on a cruise just because you got to be hooked up to a machine for a little bit.
Well, and again, Justin, I apologize if this question is somewhat ignorant because I don't really know much about it, but you had said that you asked about doing kind of the in-home stuff on the cruise. Is that something that's still possible? Say if somebody wants to take a cruise, like let's say Disney, for example, let's say they don't offer that down in the bed area, medic area of the ship. Right. Do you think that is something that people could still do? They could take their stuff with them and still be able to do that probably?
If you're home hemo or home hemodialysis or peritoneal, you can certainly plan your vacation around that as well. And that, again, coordinating with your social worker and your dialysis team about getting the supplies sent to them. I talked to a member in one of my support groups that goes on cruises all the time. He does home dialysis like I did.
Oh, wow.
He goes on 5-night cruises, so he only has to get enough supplies for 2 treatments.
Okay.
So it's not as much being taken up, and they're also able to store some of your bigger boxes and coordinate with you and about getting those up to you. So definitely that's definitely an option for you if you are a candidate for those treatments. And peritoneal, once again, I don't have any experience in, but my mother used to go on cruises all the time when I was a kid, and she was on peritoneal dialysis, and yeah, she was always gone.
Wow, I mean that's really cool though that there seem to be a lot of options for people that, I mean, just looking through the chat, it looks like there were some people who didn't, who had no idea. So I'm sure that there's plenty more out there who have no idea at all that that's even possible. So, I mean, that's really cool, and that they do have an option to still be able to go and have a great time and enjoy some time with their family, away from home.
Yeah, you don't have to miss out because we all need a break from life to go on vacation.
Yeah.
And your options, you gotta consider your options and just make the best of it and do what's best for you. And your doctor and your nephrologist, your kidney care team, they will take care of keeping you informed on what your options are and what your limitations are. One thing that I wanted to just go over for that I didn't know about, and several other people that I talked to didn't know about, was when traveling with your machinery for home hemodialysis. If you're traveling by air, you can check your machine on the plane, and the airline is not to charge you for that, for checking in medical supplies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I put emphasis on that because unfortunately they tried to charge me for my machine. And the machine weighs almost 45 pounds. Okay. So that's a pretty, hefty charge that was coming in for an extra baggage. I fought with them. I showed them on the documentation that they're not to charge for this, and they rescinded. And if they try to charge you, don't let them push you into that. That was an unfortunate situation I ran into. I don't say it happens all the time, but it's not unheard of.
Is there, you said documentation, is there something specific that maybe people could have with them when they go to check that stuff?
Yeah, when you check in, when you look at your baggage charges, and I gotta find it. I can't remember where it is right now, but there is actually it's listed under baggage fees and under medical supplies, and they're not to charge you, and I think it's also covered under. Let's see, medical. I'm trying to find it right quick, but
well, I mean, it still is something that is really great, and I think is really great that you let people know that, because how many people, who might not know that, have been charged when they thought that they shouldn't be, and they still shouldn't have been, so.
Yep, it's under it's under TSA.
Okay.
Under external medical supplies.
Okay.
But yeah, and then also when you're traveling with that machinery, make sure to ask your dialysis care team about travel cases, because that is once again a very heavy machine, and you don't want to just put it in, like, even if you have a hard case that you can get it in, you want to make sure you have the right type of transportation. This even goes if you're driving with it. You want to have a travel case for it, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know, like, if you open the door and it'll fall out of the car. So just always ask for the best way to transport your machine. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
When it comes to travel, big thing is make sure you take all your medications with you. You're gonna have a bag of medications. Always have that with you. And when it comes to your how to travel with tubes and your all your equipment, your bags, your noodles. Again, that's something that you can check in. Or in my case, I always took a bag on the plane with me as a carry-on that had supplies with me, like bag of saline, a couple bags of dialysate, just in case of an emergency where I needed to. It never happened to me, but if I needed to do an emergency treatment on a layover or something because a flight was canceled, they would be able to transfer you to first aid and hopefully set you up with a way to do your treatment there. Worst case, that's a worst case scenario thing. I never heard of anybody really having to go to it, but I did ask about it at the airport each time. I was like, if I had to do a treatment, is there a first aid place where they'll be able to let me do a treatment? And each airport I was at said yes. So.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's good information to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when it comes to your bags, when it comes to your medications and those supplies, especially your medications, I always say, always have at least 3 days of medications on your person at all time. Once again, never know what happens if don't ever check your medications with your checked bag, because lost luggage happens. Okay. And the last thing you want to be stuck with is just a couple of days worth of medications and no way to get your bag from Los Angeles to Orlando.
Yep.
And have all your documentation with you, your pharmacy information, your nephrologist and your doctor team, your primary care doctor. Any way for anybody to get in touch with someone who knows about your condition in case you are unresponsive or anything, because you don't want anybody making a guess on what's wrong with you.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to cut you off there, but just you're talking about having all the documentation, all this paperwork put together. Now, is that something that you normally would have to put together yourself, or is that something that like your care team helps to put together, and you just have it like as a folder, or is it something? I guess probably a lot of people don't really have them as electronic documents, maybe, but
in my experience, I always had it on me because I did go travel a lot. I always had a backup printed out, ready to go. I always typed up my information, but I also had printouts from my doctors that had any medication changes I was going through, any treatment schedule that was needed. They provide that with you, but I always recommend having your own as a backup. Okay. There's nothing wrong with taking extra documentation. If you have 2 forms of documentation, you have 2 forms of documentation. I mean,
yep. Well, I mean, that's what we do anytime we travel. If we've got something important that we need, we always try to have 2 separate, sometimes 3, but normally it'll be like I'll have documentation for both of us, and then Taylor will have documentation for both of us for the thing. So 100%, always have something extra, because you just never know.
Absolutely. And that's without a doubt one of the most important things to have with you. And if you have multiple forms, if you have multiples of that documentation, always carry a folded piece of paper in your wallet or your purse. Something quick. Type it into your phone in your notes, or put it in if you have an iPhone or anything that has your that you can put your medical ID on. Type it in there, something that someone can just go look at and say, okay, if you're prone to seizures, put that in your medical list. That way they go, okay, this is something that we need to. This medication, he's allergic to this. Put your allergies on there. There's a lot of things. Once again, you're different from me. I'm different from you.
Right.
You know what your limitations are. You know what your conditions are. Make sure that's written down somewhere, so in case of emergency, you have it. and really the something that's overlooked a lot by patients I see is travel insurance is really important in this case. I did end up in the hospital one time when I was at Disney. And if I didn't have travel insurance on that particular vacation, the cost for that probably would have been astronomical. You gotta really consider that, because unfortunately with your medical conditions, anything might happen. You might need to be transported to a hospital. You don't want to be stuck with paying for everything out of pocket.
I mean, and that really almost seems like almost a no-brainer. I know it does tend to be a little bit of an additional cost on your vacation, not necessarily just to Walt Disney World, but wherever you're going. But I mean, yeah, absolutely, that is definitely something that everybody should have, even if you don't, but have medical conditions like that. But I mean, you just never know. You never know. I mean, you could have all the supplies and everything that you need, and something just gets you. So
yeah, anybody that's going through dialysis knows about their blood pressure issues that come along with that. And one day, the day I ended up in the hospital, I did dialysis treatment the night before. Felt great waking up. Went to rote drop, and about an hour into our day at Magic Kingdom, I got lightheaded and just passed out. My blood pressure tanked, and unfortunately, I suffered an injury from that, and that required medical transport to a hospital. And if I didn't have anything to cover that, that would have been bad. Yeah. So I don't want to take up too much more of the time. I mean, just pay. The other big tip is just pace yourself. Don't try to do everything at once on vacation. Plan around your treatment schedules. Plan around your limitations. Don't try to do everything at once, and don't forget to take your medications at all. Don't forget. You get caught up in the excitement of being at Disney or at Universal, or on vacation. You can be in Las Vegas, walking down the strip.
Oh, jeez.
And you be out there for a couple of hours, and next thing you know, you had too much fun. You get back to your hotel room, wake up the next morning, and realize, oh, I didn't take last night's medication. Well, don't forget again. That does happen.
Yeah.
And you get very tired, and you will forget sometimes, but always have it with you. Set an alarm on your phone, even. Just
That's what I was actually just going to say. Is just set alarms if that's what would help. I mean, being here in Disney and Universal, I'm thinking, oh, you get lost in the excitement, but then you say Las Vegas, and I'm just sure that there's all kinds of excitement and distractions that come in over there. So,
well, when you're in the casinos, like they don't want you to know
what time it is anyway. There's no
clock. Oh, that's
lose track of time. So that they're trying to get you there.
Next thing you know, 5 hours passed, and you're like, where did they go? And the last piece of equipment I always say, get a portable blood pressure monitor, like one of the ones that goes on your wrist. Those are a lifesaver. Not to carry around the big one that goes around your arm, because you're gonna find yourself checking your blood pressure quite a bit, especially in the summertime when the heat drains you. You're gonna wonder if it's the heat or if you're gonna wonder if it's your blood pressure. Yeah. Check your blood pressure. Make sure that it's not high. And if you got it, and you don't want to assume it's high, take a blood pressure pill. Your blood pressure is normal, and it causes you to tank. That's never happened to me, but I've seen it happen at Disney. I saw a guy pass out, and his wife was telling the paramedic that he took an extra blood pressure pill, and he probably mistook the heat for high blood pressure.
Gotcha.
And you feel the same way. You feel the same way, and you just never know you really never know what's bugging you until you get some type of definitive answer for it.
Well, awesome. Justin, thank you so much. This was super, super informative. I think this was astronomically helpful for so many people. And of course, like this podcast episode will always be up, so people can always go back and rewatch it, listen, get the information later on. If anybody out there is listening and is interested in booking a vacation, Justin's email is up on the screen. You can send him an email. I don't have a clever subject line as Matt always does for all the emails, but send him an email. You would be in, I think, more than capable hands. So,
definitely.
And if I don't have the answers for you, I can always find someone who does. So,
yeah, awesome. We have anything else to add?
No, that was a lot of great information, Justin. If anybody has questions about the dialysis, obviously email you. You can share the Facebook groups that you're a part of. Is there any Facebook travel groups for dialysis that you know of off the top of your head?
I'm not in the travel group. I know they exist. I'm in kidney care and support in dialysis team. Dialysis Patients United. Sorry, that's another group I'm in. And there's a lot of support groups on Facebook. I would be here for days, like going over them all. But fine. They'll be there for you, and you'll be amazed of how many people have the same questions as you. So it's a great resource.
Awesome.
Well, thank you everybody for being here this week. Thank you for listening in. Hope you guys found this episode helpful. As always, we should always, say, hey, if you guys are looking to book your next vacation, Go Getaways can certainly help you with that. Sorry, I thought my dog was about to bark there for a second. Again. And Matt, I'm gonna throw it back to you.
Yep. We're back at it next Friday night. We're going to bring on one of our other agents, Kay. We're going to do a kind of a fun, maybe controversial episode.
Oh.
Overrated, underrated items at Disney. It could be anything from a ride to a drink.
Oh man, I want to be in that conversation.
It could be an activity. I'm going to be reaching out to all our. We're going to be reaching out to some of our agents this week, and I'm going to get a list of things. I haven't decided if I'm going to let everybody, like Josh and Kay, know ahead of time what the list is, or we're going to just go. We're going to go. Might go blind. Go blind on Friday. But other than that, we'll see you guys next week. Make sure to subscribe to the Go Getaways YouTube channel. And now we're off to plan your next vacation.
See you guys. Thanks for being here. Goodbye.